You live.
Hi. Hi. Welcome to Urban Renal Talk with Tamika.
And Steve, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning in. What's going on,
Yes.
Tamika?
Nothing. Nothing. Just trying to get more rest. That's all. What's going on with you, Mr. Award winning man?
Uh, nothing much. Nothing much. I definitely appreciated that trip and want to thank Minister Harper and Sorrell for, meeting up with me. It was a good meeting with Minister Harper, but her benefit gala was absolutely wonderful. Her organization celebrates medical caregivers,
Mm-hmm.
family caregivers, and survivors of kidney disease. And
Right.
so it was really nice function. It was. I mean, I just wish other organizations would do something such as New Beginning Kidney Foundation, because it really means a lot to help people who can't, able to get medicine or any type of financial help, wherever they may need because of kidney disease. And their organization is right there helping. Now, they even help Nisha up in Kidney Warrior. I believe she lives in Indiana, and she was selling dinners for a transplant. And I think Minister Harper either donated or purchased some dinners, but I mean, donated to the cause. So, I mean, that was really nice of her to reach out and do that.
Yes.
Hey, Tamika, I wanted to, before we bring our guest on, and one of our guests, Stephanie, is a positive motivator, but I wanted to read a comment to our audience, and just to show you how our mindset plays with this disease and in the state that a person's in. So yesterday, I had made some salmon, baked salmon, and asparagus. And, granted, I'm not going to do this again. I had the asparagus and the salmon on a piece of aluminum foil, and it should have been in a glass dish or a metal pan. And I was saying that incorporate healthy eating into your lifestyle, and it's not expensive. A lot of people think it is, but it's not. But this is the comment that I got, and you listen to this comment. That shows you how half America state of mind is. This was her comment. She says, and I quote, "Bullshit. I have never been able to afford to eat healthy, and I have been on dialysis for 9 years. It isn't cheap, especially when you are low income like I am. My protein has never been that goal." Now, if you read all into that statement, that's giving the disease power and just everything else, attracting the negativity that says she can't eat healthy. Well, how do you eat in the first place? And so you gonna tell me whatever you're eating, you can't transfer that over to get a piece of fish. Wild caught flounder only costs like $5 a piece. It's your mindset, and people, when you make these type of comments, you're just keeping yourself in that state of mind.
Right. Also, with her saying that that means she'll never think outside the box to try to eat it.
Mm-hmm. So let's bring our guest up and ask her about it.
Right.
Who's our guest tonight, Tamika?
Our guest tonight is Danielle.
Mm-hmm.
She has I forget the name of her organization.
Oh, there she go.
Yes, that's Danielle.
And who else we have? Hey, Danielle.
And we have, pull up her name. I'm so bad with the names. Excuse me. I don't want to mess anyone's name up. That's for off of Instagram. Sorry, guys. Keisha Hogan.
Hey, Keisha, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
All right, what's going on, Danielle?
Hi, it's Stephanie.
That's your middle name?
Yes, it
Yes,
is.
I'm
Oh, I'm
sorry.
sorry. Hey,
That's okay.
Stephanie.
Hi.
What's going on, guys?
Not too much. Happy to be here.
Great, great.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Thanks, Keisha. So, Stephanie, did you hear what I read about the comment?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you explain why some people may comment like that and some people may have a attitude like yours that had two transplants and turned your life around? What's the difference between that?
I think the difference is very obvious reasons, such as sheer exhaustion, a feeling of being defeated, a feeling of losing hope, a feeling of losing faith, a feeling of losing connection that just compiles onto somebody. And they get into a mindset of, like you said, becoming more of a victim to the disease rather than making their energy larger than the circumstance. And that comment, I could feel the emotion coming from that individual. There's a lot of overwhelm happening where there's almost a level of unteachability to somebody like that because it's all bad at that moment. So no matter what anybody says to somebody or how positive, they don't want to hear it. So there's a level of unopenness and unteachability to even have them be open to positivity in the first place. And I do want to say that I've been in states of minds similar to that, but I've always had somewhere within me, I call it the seed of God, the seed of hope, where no matter how dark it got, and I experienced every emotion in my positivity campaigns that I hold, I don't eliminate the dark. What I want people to consider is embracing all spectrums of their feelings and gaining an understanding of why there's so much overwhelm rather than letting that consume them and them identifying as the victim to the disease. And that requires a lot of openness and surrender first, and then the ability to take a step that, you know what, I do have more control over this than I think.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But all this comes with mindset.
Yeah, I think it has a lot to do with mindset.
I also want to piggyback off of that. I think for a lot of people, you have to literally grieve the life you lost. So your ability, the things that you were used to doing, you have to grieve that part of your life is over. So for me, food was huge in our family. I come from, African American family, holidays we get together, and there's a lot of salt, a lot of things that, you just cannot have anymore. And so I think you literally have to grieve and mourn the fact that there are some things you just cannot afford to do. I mean, and it's not a situation where sometimes your family doesn't understand it. Sometimes you feel lonely because you feel like it is overwhelming and you are out there by yourself and nobody understands you. I know I absolutely felt that when I originally got my diagnosis, and especially when I first started dialysis, I had to really take a step back and say, all right, listen, we got to press the reset button. And I went through some very extreme circumstances to try to preserve my kidney function as much as I could. I got weight loss surgery. So all of my eating habits changed in the matter of like overnight, literally. And so it was a situation where I was really trying to hold on to my kidney function. And then when I lost it, I absolutely felt a huge loss because I had to literally start over. I love a beverage. I love a cool beverage, whether it's water or something like that. I mourn the fact that I couldn't drink the way that I wanted to. So it was very overwhelming. And sometimes I have to agree with you, Stephanie. You have to make a conscious decision that you're either going to live the way you need to live, or you're going to continue to do what you've done and you're going to let kidney disease take you under. And that's really what the choice is.
Right.
Mhm.
Stephanie,
Yeah.
what could be done to help a person that's newly diagnosed that has that negative energy about this disease? Where can they start to change their mindset? How could you get warriors to take a different look at their disease and how they handle it? So say if you got kidney disease, because there's people who have kidney disease that is thriving and they're healthy, they may do their treatments, they're meeting quality indicators, and they're traveling, they're just living their life. And then you got some people that same thing, kidney disease, but they're at the opposite spectrum. They're focusing in on their disease. They're not really being compliant on what they need to do because they're in the pity pot of poor me. How could we reach that individual like that to show them that this is not, the end of the world?
That's a great question. And I'm going to take you on a little journey here.
Sure.
First I want to say that mentality continues after transplant as well. Typically, there's a moment of ecstatic joy if someone's able to receive a transplant. But what happened to me after my first transplant, and what I notice in the community post transplant still, is people are faced with a choice. People are faced with a choice in any circumstance in their life. Do you want to persevere, or do you want to continue to use your limitations and as a defense mechanism for you not moving forward? So just because I'm post-transplant, I see that same separation in the community. There's people that are thriving, and there's people who use the disease to perpetuate maybe other dysfunctions to keep them more stressed and more overwhelmed. They don't
Wow, I
find
like
their way
that.
through it.
Wow.
So my suggestion, I'm a big person that likes to redefine and transform systems. It's a big goal. But I think, and one thing I'm very passionate about, is having the hospitals and the transplant teams and everybody involved, the coordinators from the get-go, the doctors involved, because that's who we go to first, is to have them be educated in the notion that this is as much of a mental and emotional strain as a physical strain. And my hope is that doctors and the team address the whole spectrum of what it entails to live with this disease, not just the physical, but the mind, and just be honest and say, look, this is going to be a hard journey, but we're going to get through it. You might experience depression, but I'm going to hook you up with a patient advocate who's going to be there for you. I had none of that. I had the doctors focusing on the physical, who all did a really great job, but I had nobody addressing my mental health, my spiritual well-being, my fears, my everything. I had nobody to address the whole other aspect of transplant. And that's why I'm passionate about doing this, because I think it starts with more authenticity. And from that point forward, if the system could shift, if we could meet with people earlier who've been through it, who can help us through it, and at that point forward, then the patient is faced with a choice. Am I going to resist my condition, which makes everything more challenging? I tried that too. It didn't work. Or are you going to have that surrender and realize, okay, this happened to me. I'm not sure why, but I'm going to do my best to get through this and find the right people. And I have that trust and faith in my journey as a human being. And for some reason, this is happening to me. I'm not a victim. God's got my back. Somewhere within me, this is happening for a reason. And that's a hard thing to face right away. But if somebody could have that faith that I can get through this, and that strength, and the right people to support them, because that's a big thing too. A lot of family members don't understand, or certain people don't understand. And then I think what can happen is we seek out attention for them to get it. And nobody can get it like we
Mm,
can get it.
mm. Keisha,
Yes.
have you experienced some of what Stephanie was just mentioning by you still being on peritoneal? Are you on the transplant list?
I am absolutely on the list. I've been on the list for 3 years. So I was simultaneously getting listed and starting dialysis at the same time.
Okay.
I absolutely, I've experienced everything Stephanie's talking about. When I initially showed up at my facility, you know, my doctors were very good. They immediately put me in contact with a surgeon to have my catheter placed. They immediately wrote me prescriptions and told me this is what you'll be taking. We talked about blood values. They let me speak to the dietitian. And then they sent me home. And I went and had my catheter placed. And, you know, you understand physically what's happening. And for me, initially, when I initially started dialysis, like my training, as soon as, you know, I started doing my treatments, I felt better. So when you've been uremic for about a month and then you start to feel better, you have this feeling of elation. You're like, okay, cool. This is, you know, I'm feeling better. You still have some energy. So you're feeling good. That lasted maybe 4 months and I hit a wall. I mean, I was emotionally broken. I was working at the time. I was exhausted and I didn't have any support. I mean, I have my family. My husband and my children are extremely supportive. My children are teenagers, so they get it. But as far as my medical team, I kept getting the same thing. Just do your treatments and take your medicine. Do your treatments and take your medicine. And at some point, I felt like I kept hearing the same things over and over, and they were not understanding me. And I started to feel like this is a one size fits all approach. Like, that's all you guys say, take your medicine and do your treatments. Like, there's some other things going on. And so I reached out, I went and I started seeking therapy. And I started talking about my feelings and what I was feeling. And I needed to have that. And I needed to have it separate from my family. I needed to have it separate from my husband and my children. I needed somebody that I could go into and literally say all the things that I was feeling. I'm angry because my body's broken. I'm angry because, you know, this isn't working. And just through therapy and you know, working through that, I was able to come out to the other side. So that's where you pull hope from. That's where you pull strength from. That's when you start to realize this is a temporary situation, as is life. You know, you get pregnant. That's a 9-month process. And then my mother-in-law got cancer. And that put a huge shift in perspective for me. And so I realized that we all have choices and I can choose my outcome. And so that's when, for me, it became a situation where, you know, you have a choice to make and you need to make a decision that's best for you. And so, you know, it became easier when I went to the supermarket. Instead of grabbing the things I was used to eating, all right, well, let me try this. You know, it was trial and error. And then I started making it more of a game for myself. All right, I've never had quinoa before, so get the quinoa. But if you don't like the quinoa, also grab a salad. In case you don't like it, you'll still have something you can eat. So those are the kind of things that I've started to do. You know, I had to do for myself so that I could maintain what I needed for myself, but also look at, you know, new ways. What can I do? This is a new journey, a new chapter. And how am I going to get through this chapter of my life?
Keisha, do you think if the doctors would have prepared you mentally for what you walking into, that you wouldn't have went through so much? I mean, you probably would have went through it, but they would have already had you sign up with a therapist.
One of the things that I left my old kidney center because of this issue. because I did not feel I was emotionally being supported. Okay. It got to the point where I wasn't sleeping at night. It was really difficult for me. And when I spoke to my doctor about it, his position to me was, that's not my issue. And so I was like, okay, thanks. That's not your issue. As your patient, you have to treat the whole patient. I think kidney disease is like any other chronic illness. You cannot treat just the body part. You have to treat the entire patient.
Keisha,
yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt you. Why do you think that's the case? Why do you think so many nephrologists and doctors are treating patients that way and not treating them as a whole?
Candidly, it's money. My nephrologist, my one nephrologist, when I started his center in 2016, he owned that one center. When I left and told him I was leaving, he told me he had just opened another dialysis facility closer to my home. It is a business. Being sick is a business. And I don't want anybody to lose sight of that. It is a business. It is much easier to write a prescription than it is to treat the whole body. The facility I was going to was beautiful. There was office space galore. There was no reason why they could not have a therapist visit
on staff.
On staff. I even asked when I first started, do you guys do support group? No, that's not something we have here. But if you want to start one, you could try to find a place to do it. Every kidney facility should be mandated to have support group. Because this is something that people need to be supported through. This is something where some people, I mean, I would go on some of the forums and boards. It was ridiculous, that a lot of people are still feeling the same things. This is a whole body issue. I was talking to my nurse the other day and I said, I had no idea when I initially got sick, how many other parts of my body the kidney controlled. I said, the kidney is one issue. It's like every light on in the car came on. The check engine light comes on, then it's the radiator. I mean, it was just one thing after the next. And she said, that's the best analogy I heard. I'm going to use that. People need to know that.
Right.
They don't talk about that. They don't say anything about that. They don't say anything about your thyroid acting up.
Nope.
Anything like Stephanie. That. You just get hit with your PTH. We're going to have to take your thyroid out, give you a parathyroidectomy or whatever. Yes. They don't introduce that to you when they're talking to the patients about kidney disease, what it is, what the treatment is going to cause, why you need to do this, why your labs are important, what you need to look at when you're eating. They don't do anything until the last minute. You know what? The parathyroid won't come down. We tried to give you this, we tried to give you that, and now this is what you're going to have to do.
Yes.
Because you're shrinking.
Right. Exactly.
That you're shrinking, but you're shrinking.
And then the bone issue, your phosphorus, you could break a bone, calciphylaxis, that I had nightmares about that. Like, it goes on and on and on. And how do you put someone into that? Or you're ushering them into this this new realm, and they have no roadmap. You can't GPS your way through kidney disease. I tell people that all the time. There is no roadmap through this thing. You have to do it, and you have to find your way through the best way you can. And that's difficult. It's very hard.
Stephanie, what do you do that addresses these type of issues? What type of work are you doing now that address these type of issues that we're talking about when it comes to dealing with not just kidney disease, but any type of chronic disease when it comes to the mind, body, and soul?
Well, I began before my illness started at age 21. I was already really actively involved in what I would call the spiritual community. And I think that one aspect of what you guys were discussing about doctors and why don't we talk about this stuff is because I believe doctors are very scientific. They're very clinical. The process is very clinical, and they're very good at what they do with being clinical with the body. But we need that other aspect, like you said. So that's what I studied before I got sick. And then when I got sick with lupus and it started just deteriorating my health so rapidly, nothing could control it. Every body system was involved. I lived in the hospital. I thought to myself, I have to surrender to the fact that I'm in the medical community right now, coming from a girl who used to rely on more of a holistic practicum with healing and health. I'm in the hospital, but what was happening in the hospital was it wasn't really helping me because this lupus was out of control. So every medicine under the book, I was on chemo, I was on all the drugs, and nothing was controlling me. So I came to my own epiphany in the hospital bed, and I said, well, if the medical side of this is not working for me right now, I better go back to what I was doing too, because I need every tool possible right now to get through this. I need their help, and I need my mind, body, spirit awareness. I need everything to live in this moment. So I started applying practices that I was used to, which was mindfulness, breathing practices, stretching if I could be available to that, speaking my truth, being authentic with people, not holding anything in. For me, I was so ill that I felt as if I held any emotion in, that toxicity would push me over to my deathbed. So I really actively was speaking my truth and taking time for myself and making me the number one priority, no matter what anyone else said. And that was hard for me because I'm a people pleaser. So it was very hard for me to put myself first, but I had no other choice in that moment. And that was a great lesson for me. And that's one thing with my disease is it's been hard as hell. But do you know how much I've learned and grown and developed my personality and saw my traumas because of this disease and how much I've changed? So basically what I try to do now is I try to share with people the authenticity of being chronically ill, that you have a choice with your mindset. There are holistic practices that you can do to keep your stress level down, as well as work with your medical team. But one thing that I'm really passionate about is speaking the full truth around the process of transplant, especially regarding the mental health and what's lacking in this system of transplant. And that's really emotional support, more patient advocacy, more holistic therapy where the doctors and the team bring on people to support someone's emotional well-being, because I think it's so desperately lacking. Now, for me, after my first transplant, I was very sick with lupus for about 5 years before my kidney failed. Then I was on dialysis for 3 years before I was eligible for transplant because I was too ill. So that was around 8 years in my 20s of basically being bedridden, wheelchair bound, and trying to just get to the bathroom myself. So what happened was life was so challenging. I did the best that I could, but when I got that transplant, it was almost like this feeling of the Holy Grail. You know, that it was very glorified in the transplant community. Oh, your kidney's here. We're going to get the kidney. Everything's going to be different. And what happened was I went home, I recovered, and then 3 months later, I went into a severe depression because I thought to myself, what the hell just happened? What this last 8 years? I have no financial resources. I never went to college. I had nothing. And I realized, oh my gosh, I put all of my investment in getting an organ. And then when I got that organ, I was so grateful. But then I realized I have nothing. How am I going to rebuild my life? Nobody told me about this. Nobody taught me that I was going to have to keep transforming and keep fighting for my life after the transplant. And I think people need to have, as long as they have the skill set and the understanding that your life with kidney disease is going to require you to be in a constant state of transformation.
Wow.
Every step of the way, you're going to have to change.
That's powerful.
Right?
Keisha, do you feel the same way that you have to keep changing to deal with your illness?
Absolutely. I've gone from full-time employee to just a multitude. Your work life changes, your home life changes, your roles change, your ability level changes. Like when I first stopped working, I was like, okay, I'm home every day. So now, I can make sure the laundry's done, everything, my house will be immaculate. And it was for about 5 or 6 months. And then my energy level tanked. And then what went from everything being done by the time my husband and kids came home to laundry wasn't being done to, so you're constantly making adjustments for whatever is being whatever the new issue is. Sometimes it's your energy level, sometimes it's your mental state, sometimes it's a side effect of a new medication. You constantly, my husband says it to me all the time, the only thing that is constant is change. So be flexible. Be flexible. And he's a very sweet guy, but he's been saying that to me since we've gotten married. He was like, the only constant is change. And that's everything. So be flexible. And so when things get really, really difficult for me here, be flexible. You're not being flexible. You're being really rigid. Come on, girl, you got this. And so it just takes me back. Those little things like that just pull me back. All right, hold on. How can I adjust here? All right, I might not have the energy level to get everything done, but what's important? Prioritizing. I cannot stress that enough. You have to prioritize the things that matter to you most. And some days it will be giving the children your ear and their attention. Other days you'll be here in the bed. And there are days where even now, depending on how I'm feeling or what's going on, days that I go to clinic, when I get iron and Epigen, when I come home, I'm wiped out. So mostly when I come home on those days, I'm in my bed. My children come home from school, they rally around me. So some nights there have been nights where they come into my room and we eat dinner in here. Like, mom, just chill. We got it. Those are the flexibilities that I am so grateful for. Those are the things that remind me that, yes, it's not how you want it to be. No, we're not all eating dinner at the table. But what matters is we all had dinner together. So those are the small things that, I cherish. Those are the things that matter to me most. So, you have to remember, that this is all a gift. I was doing some research a couple of weeks ago, and I realized I read about the first kidney machine. I think it was developed in 1942. And I was like, and without it, I wouldn't even be here. So, yes, I complain about it. Yes, I can't stand doing my treatments. There are days I don't want to do it at all. However, I get to wake up and see, my children's faces that I love so much. And I get to, see my granddaughter that I am absolutely crazy about. So those are the things that at my core, I wouldn't change, So if it means that I have to, eat my dinner in the bed or something doesn't get done, that's cool. I'm cool with it. I haven't been able to travel the way I would like to. My husband is a traveler. So, there's been some trade-offs. There's been some things that I've had to kind of chill for my own personal reason. Not that I couldn't, but I'm not comfortable doing it. But I'm okay with that. Like, I'm cool with it because, I'm living in the flexibility of it all.
So Keisha, I wanted to ask you, you said you've been on the transplant list for 3 years.
Yes.
So have you ever gotten a call and
Never.
it didn't work out?
I have not yet received the call. I don't even know what I would do if I got a call. I don't even know I wouldn't know what to do. I was going to ask you, Stephanie, what was that process like the first time? And what was it like for you the second time? And what did you know the second time that you didn't know the first time?
Wow. Well, I knew a lot more the second time than I did the first time. I was much more prepared psychologically, mentally, physically. And it wasn't easy, but it was totally different.
Okay.
So your question is, how did I deal when I got the call
Yes.
around the transplant? Well,
Yes.
I'm very, very fortunate that I've received 2 living donor transplants.
Mm. Yes.
So living donor transplants aren't a quick process either. Both living donor processes took me about a year to actually get my transplant. So it wasn't immediate for me either time. It takes a lot of time. The first transplant that I had was at Johns Hopkins, and I was involved in what's called an incompatible kidney swap. So that means that I had a donor who was willing to donate for me, but he wasn't a match for me. So in the incompatible program, they take your donor who's not a match, and they're able to. They have this mathematical algorithm where they put it into the system and they can find you another recipient and donor that you can swap kidneys with. So, believe it or not, the first transplant I was involved in, I had my partner donate his kidney. His kidney went to another woman. Her husband's kidney went to me.
Okay.
Yeah. So I was very, very ill with the first transplant. And after I registered at Johns Hopkins, it took about, I'd say, maybe 8, 9 months before I got that call.
What state
And
are you in, Stephanie?
I'm in Pennsylvania.
Okay, you're close to us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I'm real close to you guys. Yep. Yeah.
What about
But
you, Keisha?
I'm in Wilmington, Delaware, and I'm listed at
Oh my God.
Jefferson. I'm in Jefferson.
Okay.
I'm listed at Jefferson.
Okay, I know exactly where you're at. I used to work in Wilmington,
Yeah.
St. Francis.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. That's not so.
Mhm. Wow.
Keisha, have you ever
Yes.
thought about being listed somewhere else also?
Oh my gosh. So yes, I wrestle with that one because I was going to get listed at Cooper, which is regionally a separate hospital. New Jersey's a separate region, so I was going to get listed there too. I don't know why I haven't. The process for me has been one of those things where it's hard to explain. I've placed a lot of faith in Jefferson Hospital. I was originally listed at Christiana Care here in Wilmington, and I just started doing research, and Jefferson is like, in our area, you guys know, Jefferson is like the mecca for organ transplant. So I decided I wanted to transfer my time to Jefferson. And my husband told me I should go to the University of Maryland because my blood type is B positive, and they have another program there because that's a rare blood type, so it takes longer.
That's my blood type.
Okay. And so
Wow.
he has been talking to me about this for a while. And I don't know. I've just placed my faith in Jefferson. I know it's probably misplaced trust. Not misplaced, but they want to increase my opportunity to get an organ. And I just feel like I've waited 3 years. I'm hoping that I hear something soon. If I don't, maybe I will actually, move forward in the process of getting listed somewhere else.
Right.
Because what about you guys? Who all here has a transplant?
So I am a dialysis technician.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm a dialysis nurse. I've been doing this like 33 years.
Okay.
20 years. So
yeah.
Wow.
This is like our passion to educate because we see so many people getting diagnosed or going down that road and not even knowing don't have, like you said, you got to make a daily conscious decision to be mindful of what's going on.
Yes.
And the majority of Americans are not doing that. And that's why they build in dialysis facility and the clinics. I mean, the corporations, they know this. I mean, I just posted a picture earlier today. I mean, every time you go into these stores, whether they're gas station convenience stores or convenience stores on the corner, people are bombarded with the images of potato chips, 2 for $1, liter sodas, and you got people even in the morning, Tamika, when I may go up to the store and get just a piece of fruit. It's like a corner store. You got people buying energy drinks,
Yes.
potato chips, and all kind of packaged stuff. We're talking about 8, 9 o'clock in the morning.
Mhm.
And then you wonder why, years later, how did it get to this point?
Yeah.
But it happens a lot here in Philly. Like you see the kids going to the corner store, they're buying potato chips. Back in my day, it was Hugs, but sometimes my daughter gets a soda, and I'm like, Morgan, what did you get? She's like, oh, I just got a ginger ale. This is their mindset. This is what they do. There's no one in the store that's stopping them. Like, no, don't eat this.
No, of course they want to sell that stuff.
They sell it. They don't care.
Yes.
They don't care.
Yeah.
It's money. You don't see any fresh fruit there in the corner stores. You may see an old apple, a messed up lemon for the tea that they give with 19 scoops of sugar, and an old orange. That's as far as the fruit that you're going to get.
But you know what, Tamika? I brought some Doritos and Fritos, just samples. I didn't open them or nothing. But I want to do a show because if people actually read the back of the ingredients and then Google it and see exactly what these ingredients, some of them got something called like mexodextrin. And dextrin, when you take that supplement, that's in a lot of medications and like maltose, which is a byproduct of sugar. They got hidden ingredients that people don't realize. And so if you have diabetes, right, and you just eating and thinking that you're eating stuff controlling your blood sugar, but you're not looking at what you're eating, there's other hidden ingredients in there that can increase your blood sugar. And you wonder why you still stuck with diabetes type 2, which is preventable from the first place. There's no way no one should be walking around 5 to 7 years with type 2 diabetes, being that diabetes, whether it's 1 or 2, is the leading cause of kidney failure. So they just managing it with the oral glycemics, but you're still damaging your kidneys on the back end. And people don't realize that, and they're just falling into traps, and that's why they're building more clinics.
And another thing, Steve, what happens is the doctors lie to them and be like, oh, your kidneys are fine, meaning they're not failing, but you at stage 2, but you got a little while longer. They don't tell them until they're in stage 4 or in stage 3 about their kidneys. They say, oh, the A1C is good, so don't worry, but they're not checking their kidney function.
My husband is diabetic, and I think his doctor was probably sick of me because about 4 years ago, he was originally diagnosed. He was pre-diabetic 4 years ago. 4 years ago, his blood work results, we were able to log in and look at them. And when I looked at his results, he had lost 10% of his kidney function. I think it went from like 89 to like 77, something like that. And so I called, told him we're gonna make an appointment. So we got there, and I said he lost 10% of his kidney function. He's like, well, what do you mean? So I went over the values with him. So, well, his function is still good. It's still over 60. Sir, he is diabetic. Like, what are you talking about? So I had to get a little indignant with him to get him to understand. Let me tell you something. I'm currently living with kidney disease. I can't have anything happen to this man. So now what do we need to do? So my husband, he really got serious, and I got serious too. We went to the dietitian. I found him an endocrinologist, and his endocrinologist is amazing. And she gave me a list of things to look for. One day we went to the supermarket, and we love pasta. I got him the brown spaghetti, the whole wheat spaghetti, and I'm looking for sauces. I could not find a spaghetti sauce with no sugar. every spaghetti sauce has sugar in it. And I'm like, wait a minute, what? Like, and she was telling me, she said, you might have to make spaghetti sauce yourself. So guess who makes her own sauce now? Like little things like that. Those are the things that really, really matter. And his A1C went from like 7 to 6. It was like 7.8 at one point, and I think it's like 6.3 or 6.4. And his sugars is very, very good. But it's one of those things, like the fear of him getting kidney disease is very real in this house. And so when he goes to the doctor, like it's something that we're vigilant about. But it's very scary to me how cavalier the medical profession is about that. They're very, very cavalier. And then I had one doctor tell him, his primary care doctor said, well, if you really want to get rid of diabetes, just get weight loss surgery. Are you kidding me?
See, they don't tell you about that weight loss surgery. You have to take a vitamin every single day.
Oh, I know. Yes.
So you had it. So then there's something else added onto him. Like, no.
And now it's a cycle. And I had to learn the hard way through this process that the medical profession is a business. If you go to the doctor and tell them something is wrong, they have a drug for it. I told my husband, it's like going to the car salesman. They will sell you a car if you go to a car dealership. If you're going just to look, don't ever go to a car dealership. Sometimes when you go to the doctor and you tell them this is, what's going on with me, or this is what's happening, I don't think that cure is where the medical profession is. I think it's treat. We're no longer in a cure mentality. We're in a treat mentality. And that's scary. It's very scary.
Yeah. I think that they very much devalue the body's natural ability to heal. If you give it the elements that it needs. I think that's where we're lacking is here, take a pill for this and do this. You can get this surgery. Right. And partially because it's a business, partially because big pharma is very close with the medical field. But what happened to the doctors who really care and they want to try to prevent things from happening or say, hey, you know what? I think your body may have the ability to recover from this before we do anything else. Let's try to change the diet. Let's try to get your mindset right. What kind of stress are you under? There's just a lack of addressing any of that process, which could change the way this whole medical system operates.
So, Stephanie, are there any holistic doctors out there?
Well, I don't see a holistic doctor where I am. So basically my doctors are my nephrologist, and then I go back to my surgery center, which is my last one was at NYU. And I'll tell you one thing that I've done is I have no problem asking a ton of questions and really getting in the face and actually trying to become friends with some of my doctors and then challenging them and saying, look, we need this as patients. Are you not thinking about this? I have no problem going to the top and telling them what needs to change. Now, that being said, are they really hearing me? That I don't know, but I'm at least not afraid to say, hey, look, we need more. And go right to the top. I mean, my surgeon that I had for my surgeries, I've talked to him many, many times. And I'll just say, look, I have a feeling that you guys are glorifying this process. I know you're important and I love you for what you've done, but we need more help than what you're offering, and pull yourself up out of your view and realize that we're a whole being. We need to be addressed mentally, emotionally, and physically to heal. Otherwise, I'm just a number for you. I'm just a paycheck for you.
Yes.
I think we also need, I think we also need patient advocacy.
Yes.
I think that every center needs to have a patient advocate. And I say that because when I go to my facility, it is depressing. I mean, it's heartbreaking to see the defeat on some of the patients. It's like there's no fight there. And I think some patients just don't know where to begin. Like, where do I start? Like, how do I put one foot in front of the other to try? And then I also think about new patients coming in. As you guys stated, this is something that we're going to continue to see happen at larger rates and numbers.
Yeah.
Do we have a new patient program where you partner up a patient with somebody who's doing really well so that they can learn, this is some things that I did when I first started to help bridge the gap or help get me through it, because it's a very lonely process and everybody's not blessed to have the support system. You know what I mean? So I think that patient advocacy and that new patient program, I think that's something that we really need to look at, like, across the board, because it's a difficult place. I mean, other diseases, cancer, you have all kinds of programs to help people adjust to that lifestyle. Kidney disease, it's kind of like a figure it out on your own.
What they do is they just throw you in the unit. They just throw you in.
Yeah.
They tell us we have a new patient coming in, and we're like, okay. And then they just throw them in there. So when they walk in there, the fear on their face, and they barely sometimes moving, and sometimes I have to go with them. They like, Tamika, go ahead and go get me so-and-so. And I'll go say, it's okay. Just, those people, they've been on for 3 years. She's been on for 2 years. And then as I'm talking to them, she's moving a little more, because before she was stuck.
Right.
Because she never walked into it before. She said, well, my kidneys failed. I was in the hospital, and I just got out the hospital Thursday, and they told me to come here on Tuesday. Not let her see the unit to see what a dialysis unit looked like. She was getting dialyzed in the room. So for her to go from the room to the center, all of it was a culture shock.
Yeah, and that's how it typically happens. You're just shuffled from one place to the next. So that can be very, very challenging for a patient. I want to say one thing, that in Chinese medicine, kidneys are related to fear. And that's the number one emotion I see in the world of kidney. There's a lot of fear, and there's a lot of the unknown. And that was something that always boggled my mind. I follow a lot of Facebook support groups, is the fact that in Chinese medicine, there's this relation between kidneys and fear. And what happens very often, even post-transplant, is we're faced with the fear of what if it doesn't work? What's going to happen next? There's just so much fear. It's almost like a double-edged sword. And I think that people who are going through kidney failure, you're getting attacked on almost every level. Your physical body's under attack, your mental body's under attack, your world is under attack, your living situation is under attack. I think the medical community needs to do a better job at providing us with some emotional support.
Wow.
Also, don't forget your finances is under attack, because then you have this little Social Security check you're supposed to live off of and have a meaningful life off of $700 and some change.
Please talk about it.
Please, yeah, myself as well. I mean, I just recently closed my yoga studio to try to pursue this more. And I will say that I'm fearful of this transition of stepping into making more money, because I'm going to lose some of my support. And then what if this happens? I'm fighting a lot of neutropenia issues, and there was a potential bone marrow issue. And again, it's like you're constantly trying to get one step ahead, and you're being pushed back another step with how the systems are all working. So it's very, very hard. And people need to understand that they're not alone.
Right.
Wow. Wow. Tamika, you all know what I'm thinking. We need to do a show with Stephanie. I mean, because a lot of people need to hear information.
Yep.
From where I sit right now, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm a single woman. And I'm right now, I had to close my yoga business because I wasn't making enough money, because I wanted to pursue being a patient advocate. But getting myself into the hospital setting has been like, pulling teeth, because I don't have a degree. And then I'm thinking to myself, well, I'm 42. I don't have much money. Should I try to go back to school at 42 to become a psychologist or a nurse, so I can just get back into the community to be a patient advocate in the hospital, because they won't just let me in? And it's been this struggle. I feel I have so much to offer.
You
do.
It's been a struggle. You got a lot of value. But you know what? You should keep that yoga and incorporate it into your work, and deal with the whole mind, body, and soul like you're talking, because you have it. You have it. I'm serious. And if I think if a lot of warriors heard your information on a continuous basis, that's how you begin to change the mindset, because you're a living example of it.
Yeah.
You know,
And
2 transplants, the yoga aspect of it, the whole thought process that you have. I mean, you have a lot of value to add. And I encourage you to push past that terror barrier and do what you was called to do. And doors are going to open up. We were the same way, you know, trying to go around and talk to different churches, and nobody responded and nobody wouldn't listen. But if you keep doing what you're doing, somebody is going to pick that up, because you do have it.
Well, I want to say I've been knocked down left and right. I've been declined to work with certain people and being in institutions and helping hospitals. I mean, I've been turned down left and right. But I will say that I'm not giving up. And the other thing I will say is I need patients to know that my process started out facing death right from the get-go. I got so sick with lupus that I had 2 life or death experiences where I hemorrhaged in my lungs and, you know, all that stuff. And what happened was at 26, I was already at death's door. So what happened was I faced death. And what I want to say is, once you face that, or you at least have the mentality that, okay, listen, I don't want to talk about death, but we all are going to die. And once you realize or face the fear of dying, okay, then you realize that anything else you got. Anything else, I got this. Because I know worst case scenario, I've already made peace with the fact that at some point death will occur. And now anything else that comes my way, I have the ability to rise above that, because I know my worst case scenario.
Right.
To not be stuck in fear of not keeping fighting when you feel like you're being put down or you're afraid of money. I mean, I'm 42, back living in my mom's apartment, but I'm not ashamed. I've had a challenging life, and I'm going to keep going until somebody listens to me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, we
I have
listening.
2 things to say. So for Keisha, just some things just come over me and just tell me, say, so I think that you should start an organization called Bridging the Gap, and it's for patients and new patients.
I think so too. It's so funny that you should say that, because I started thinking about doing something like that because it's so difficult. But I will definitely take that advice. Thank you.
And look their name up and go from there. And even if you have to tweak it. But I feel like because your energy, like, it gave me chills, because it's what's needed. It's what's needed. And someone can't birth something that they never walked into.
Amen to that.
Okay. And then Stephanie, you should don't go to them. Let them come to you. Like, start getting on lives and create your own, and start talking and start doing yoga. Start introducing people to yoga to change their mindset.
Absolutely.
You know,
I was going
even
to say,
meditating in the chair.
yes.
You know, sit there in the chair and meditate. When you get on the machine, you know, to let your anxieties level go down, just start meditating. Teach people what they need to know. Don't worry about some damn doctors. They're going to come. They're going to come. It may not be tomorrow. It may not be next year. But you make some videos up and you put them on buffer, and you don't even have to touch them. You just send them out when you just schedule them when you want them to come out, and go from there. But I think what you have is really needed, because for one, people don't know anything about mindset change. They're so stuck in what they knew prior that they don't see nothing else beyond that.
Yeah, hey Stephanie, I want to put you on the spot right now. I mean, you can think about it, but I want you to do a show on this network. Think about it, if you know, on healthy mindset and yoga, what you're speaking on, because I think it adds value to a lot of people's lives, and I offer that extended offer to you. Think about it, about doing a show maybe once a week or once a month or twice a month. What do you think?
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally open for it. I do want to say one thing that's happened to me, to be honest about my experiences, because I've been involved in the spiritual community. I have a YouTube channel that addresses challenges in people's lives when facing transformation. So I have all sorts of videos, short videos on just how to help people when they're under stress and to gain a different perspective. And what made me sad over the last, I'd say 6 months, was because I felt defeated, where I couldn't like penetrate the hospital system. I would constantly say to my nephrologist, any new patients, send them my way. If anyone needs help, send them my way. Nothing ever came. And 6 months ago, I thought, making all these videos addressing the normal population, and I thought to myself, wait a minute, I've got 20 years experience with lupus and kidney disease, and I'm not addressing these people because somehow I can't penetrate myself into it. And that's when I thought, forget it, I'm taking all of my work and I have to create it myself.
Exactly.
Yes. Give it to those that need it. You may have to change your target market. There's a market out there for everyone with yoga. You get what I'm saying? But there's no market out there for people with lupus or people that have chronic illness.
And somebody I just saw a comment from Bridget Candy Rain said, if you do a love yoga, she's in.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, give her a date and time. So, I mean, you got people out there who may want to try this or learn some type of yoga move or exercise to help, calm that anxiety. Because I met a lot of warriors who tell me before they come to treatment, they get anxiety because of, and maybe something like that would help them, Stephanie.
Yeah, right. I did too. I had to take medication before my dialysis treatments because they never went easy for me. But really, I'm very passionate too about teaching people how to understand their feelings. And when people understand that what they're feeling is normal and that their anger is normal and that facing darkness in this process is normal, that maybe we can somehow transcend this taboo around kidney disease.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And Keisha, I'm going to contact you personally because I think I may have something for you too.
Yeah. Okay, great. I am definitely open to it.
Oh yeah, everything would just add value to what we're trying to do.
Yes, I think we could also. So if you would, but I have to talk over with Steve because he's the head hunter.
Well, please reach out to me. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that you guys took the opportunity to talk to me. I'm learning so much about. I'm still learning. I feel like I'm still a student at this kidney disease thing. And so anytime I get to talk to people and pick their brain and hear their experiences, it just sheds light. It lets me know, number one, that I'm not by myself, but it also sheds light. And it makes me feel like, you know what? It's a community. And I think that's we are a community. And I think we need to start banding together as a community and supporting each other and lifting each other.
Absolutely.
Right. I think
absolutely.
Banding together positively, because what I see on a lot of the groups is they band together negatively.
Yeah.
You walk into a room. You log into a room
group,
and it's nothing but bad aura.
Yeah.
And I have left many a group. Like after the first year, I had to leave the forums that I was on online because it was it was bogging me down, because you see things like the calciphylaxis. That's the first time I actually saw it. Like they had pictures and everything, and it just took me down. I was just like, oh my God, like this is what I have to look forward to.
Yeah.
So
absolutely not.
And that's when I had to start stepping away. The other thing that I wanted to say, and Stephanie, this is something that you can use. Encourage people to protect their energy. While you're going through this, protect your energy. You will come across all kinds of people with all kinds of stories. Sometimes you have to protect and cut people off. Like you don't deserve to know my journey. I don't need that in my circle. I don't need it in my space. You have to protect your energy because people's energy can penetrate your energy.
Especially when you're sick. When you're sick like that, you need to preserve everything that you possibly can when you're in that
Yes,
state.
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, you should check out my YouTube channel because
I would
I
love
talk a
to.
lot about energy
What's
work
the
and
name
things like
of
that.
it?
My YouTube channel, I have a couple. I'm trying to think of the one. Oh, it's called Divine Alchemy Consulting. And I have about,
Okay.
I'd say maybe like 40 videos on there. And it's just
Okay.
about basic
I'll put the
topics
link.
from, facing transformation and, it's just interesting. So you might want to check it out and see. But I'm definitely going to I'm focusing on our community now. And I'm not going to let myself feel defeated from not really being accepted by the medical community to help. I'm just going to do it myself.
Right.
So,
There
And
you
they
go.
will come. Trust me, they will come because there's always someone watching. Like my mom used to say, Tamika, you keep running these streets and there's always someone watching. And what's
Yeah.
she got a phone call?
Yeah.
So Stephanie, would you be open to that idea of maybe like a once a month or twice a week, like
Yeah.
show, like your own show to do yoga, mindset techniques it could be a half an hour, 15 minutes. I mean,
Yeah.
would you be open to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, one thing with me is I'm very, very honest. I'm authentic and I'm very intentional and I care very deeply. So as long as I can be myself
Oh,
and really
absolutely.
share what really has helped me from the bottom of my heart, amen.
Yeah, you definitely have total creativity.
Awesome. Yeah, I would like that. I would love that.
All right, Tamika, set it up.
I will.
And
Give me the
Keisha,
number.
I want to
Yes.
say to you, the grace that you exhibit
That's
going
right.
through PD, I wasn't where you were. I just want to say that. And it's very, I mean, it's been many years since I've been on PD, but hearing you takes me right back. And I have all the same feelings. I just got goosebumps. And I just want to say that I love you and your energy and your grace
Wow.
is amazing.
Thank you so much. And I just need I want people out there to know I wasn't always here. I was anybody who's listening to my story thinking, well, I'm angry and I don't want to be here. I was there.
Yep.
So trust me, baby steps. I didn't get here overnight. You won't either. But if you want to reach out to me, Tamika has my information. I will be more than happy to get you to where I am because it is a journey and it's hard. It's not easy. But I think with support, anybody can get here.
Yeah. I want to say one other thing. Certain groups, I find, as you guys mentioned, kind of get into that support where they're perpetuating the victim mentality, which I don't really like. But then sometimes I see groups or people who've been through transplant who just make it all about love and light. And that's one thing that I don't like either. I want the whole experience. I think there can be beauty in the challenge. I think there can be grace in the darkness. I want to talk about it all and let people know that whether you're in total bliss or you're, in the shitter,
Absolutely.
can you learn to traverse it?
Yes.
And realize that neither of them are horrible. They're just two ends of a different spectrum, and it's going to be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You almost give me goosebumps talking about the 14 universal laws.
Yeah, exactly. Universal law. I'm all about it.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
But people think if I'm not in bliss and I'm not happy and everything's not good, my life is shit. And that's not life. Life is everything. It's good and
Exactly.
bad. Look I got to show you. Look at my earrings. It's a yin yang symbol. It's light and it's dark.
Yeah,
and it's all
you got to
okay.
have both.
Yes.
Without light, you got to have dark. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And when you're in the dark, to try to realize, okay, I'm in the dark and I can choose to stay here as long as I want, or I can try to transcend it and bring a little more light in. You have the ability to create
Exactly
where you're at.
Yes.
But when you're sick, it's very all consuming and it's very difficult to pull yourself up to see that perspective.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. Yay.
So we're coming to the end of our show. We actually went over, but that's fine. Is there anyone that you would like to give a shout out to? I'm going to start with Keisha, and then after Keisha, we can go Stephanie.
I just want to thank my family, my husband, David, and my 4 amazing kids, Danae, DJ, Ayana, and Autumn. My kids have seen me cry, like to the point where I couldn't get off the floor, and they've seen me where I am now. And without any of them, I don't think that I would have been able to stand as I stand now. So I definitely want to thank my family. I also want to thank my medical team, the team that I have now up at DeVita in Riddle, because that's where I go. That's my dialysis home. They work with me, and my nephrologist, Dr. Okachekwu Crozier.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yay.
Awesome.
Oh, Stephanie, right
Yeah.
quick before
Yeah.
you go, what day would be convenient for you?
You know what? Right now, I'm pretty open, so I think we could just talk about it and set something
Okay.
up. Yeah.
All right. I'm sorry,
That's
Tamika.
okay.
I'm just so excited.
All right. I'm sorry, guys. Sometimes I have to get with my brother.
Yeah.
Stephanie, is there anyone you would like to give a shout out to?
I would like to give a shout out to my family, my 2 donors, Chris, who was a partner of mine at the time, and then my sister, who donated the last kidney to me. If it weren't for them, I don't think I would be here. I want to thank everybody in the kidney community, anybody struggling with any chronic illness, anybody struggling with any sort of depression or darkness in their life. And I want to give a shout out to my surgeon, who I've had twice, who, believe it or not, just had a heart transplant of his own after doing over 4,000 kidney transplants.
Wow.
And I just think he's an amazing, wonderful, inspirational man. And I just want to give a shout out to him as well, too.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Wow.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tamika, this was a great show. I got some great information.
I told you it would be. I told you
Awesome.
it would be.
Oh my God. Yes, absolutely. It just rejuvenated me.
Me too. Thank you.
Yes, yes. So we thank you guys so much for coming on. Though it was last minute, it was worth it.
Yes.
It was worth it. It was worth
I
it.
definitely feel it was.
Keisha, I'll be talking to you, Stephanie. I'll
Okay,
be-
great. Not a problem.
All right, guys. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, Tamika, sorry, I got a little carried away there, asking about the day, but I just wanted to see what day could fit.
But you gotta wait and let her process it, Steve. She didn't even process it.
I know.
Goodness,
I know. But she added, let me just say this.
Mhm.
All jokes aside, both guests added so much value to this dialogue, especially Stephanie with the mindset. What I've been trying to get across to warriors that you are what you actually think.
Yes.
And some people could think their way into sickness, and some people could think their way into health. And
Yes.
it's almost like a fork in the road.
Right. It's like what you say to yourself, you believe. So I used to believe, oh, I couldn't eat healthier food, so I wouldn't even try it. So I would eat all the unhealthy stuff because I knew that's all I could afford because I'm on this, because I'm on that, instead of taking it day by day, trying something new.
Exactly. And I think with some people, again, it's how you look at food.
Mhm.
You don't always, people don't have to eat 3 and 4 times a day, going out to fast food restaurants or just grabbing chips and stuff on the go. People do it by habit.
Right.
That's everything that is built into us. And that's what Stephanie was talking about. Every day, you got to be consciously aware of what's going on. Because if you don't, you'll end up, repeating a habit that got you there in the first place. Some people say, oh, I want to change tomorrow. For instance, like I want to change my diet, but yet maybe something may come and knock them off, and then they fall back and not even think about changing the diet anymore. So they're so comfortable where they at, then the whole diet is out the window and they're back into their repeated routine of eating unhealthy.
And not just that, Steve, like for myself and Lisa, I'm an emotional eater. So some people eat
exactly
depression or things aren't going right and stuff like that. So then you got to tackle that part too. And also affirmations, like speak your life into existence.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Stop thinking negatively and start thinking positively, even in a negative situation, even in death when someone passes away. you know, they're in a better place. You know, you don't have to worry anymore. This is a journey we all are going to have to take. You know, to
Absolutely.
try to think of the positive side of it. You know,
Exactly. Just like I said, the yin and yang. Where
right,
there's a bad side, there's a good side. Where
right,
there's up, there's down. Where
exactly,
there's front, there's back. So
exactly.
got to start looking at life
Mindset,
with the universal laws, because those laws are, I mean, that's the law of the earth, and they
right,
were set by God. I mean, just like the law of gravity.
and
I
rest.
mean, what goes up must come down. If it's
Right,
if it's heavier than air, I mean, it's going to fall straight toward the ground.
exactly, exactly. But this is a learning. This is the teaching.
Exactly.
You know, and you're never too old to learn. You just have to open up yourself to get the knowledge. Some
I
people
agree,
say, I
Tamika.
don't know anything. I got to know. You don't have it, or you wouldn't be where you are.
That's right. And that's why I think I wish people would listen, because it's a setup. I mean, it's starting to get harder and harder. People are getting into that mindset like it's expensive to eat healthy, and that's totally not the case, because see, people are so used to buying 3 of these burgers for $5, buying cheap food for cheap prices, and they're getting caught up in that mindset, because if you see a piece of fish that costs $5, that's expensive, but you would spend $5 on 3 sausage and egg biscuits, where it's despicable when you think about the sausage and egg biscuits when you're getting them out of a restaurant or a gas station, one of those corner stores that make them right there on the 7-Eleven.
Right.
I mean, it's all a setup, and I just, you know,
Right.
I'm kind of speechless, because if I can see it, how come other people can't see it? And I'm no different.
You are, because of your mindset. I just want to address Lisa real quick. Lisa, I never said like it was easy, you know, because dealing with death is hard, but you have to find a way to live through it and to get through it. And you can't stay in that moment. Like, you have to find a way to move on. And it may take you a while, but there is a lighter side. I lost my niece. She was 6 years old to cancer. Though we still go through it, we no longer live in the moment.
Right. Wow.
Yes, and that was hard. It's nothing like seeing a baby in a casket. Like, it's nothing like seeing a brain tumor burst and she has black stuff coming out of her mouth. But we don't live in the moment. We learn how to get through it. There's a brighter side. She's no longer in pain. That's what I'm saying. Not that it's not easy. I mean, sorry, not that it's easy. Hell no, it's not easy, but it is obtainable to be able to move forward. Or we might jump in a casket with them.
Again, when honestly, and I can understand what Lisa's saying, but when I hear now my thinking, when I hear comments like that, it's easier said than done. That's true, but that's a state of mind.
Right.
I mean, you have to look past your problems, or look past that, you know, that there's something better than this, and
Right.
keep that in front of you.
Right.
Because if you and I want to give you a point in case. Now I was going to bring up Rena Warrior's picture, because this is point in case. How is it that a person such as Wilson Dew, who was 300 pounds, diabetes, hypertension, how does someone like that in 2 years transform into the Rena Warrior? Wilson Dew is no different than nobody else who's 300 pounds and has diabetes and hypertension. The only difference with Wilson Dew changing to the Rena Warrior was his mindset.
Right.
He decided to change his mind and not to be sick anymore. And he flipped the negative into a positive. And now this gentleman is riding bikes across California, riding up to 400-500 miles, doing CrossFit. I mean, he's doing what he wants to do. He took control of that. So, Tamika, how is it that Wilson Duke can do it, but other people, I mean, we all the same. No one's given more or less. We're all given the same 24-hour time. He decided to do, he go beyond his wild imagination.
Right, but it's mindset, is what's taught, is what's shown. A lot of people won't take anything new because they're so conditioned to stay what's old.
Mm-hmm.
It's mindset, and then it's who you surround yourself with. If you constantly surround yourself with negative people, guess what? You're going to be negative. If you surround yourself with positive people, you're able to think outside their box and live a more positive life.
Right. And so I suggest any warriors watching tonight, you know, if you want to live beyond your wildest means in spite of kidney disease, you know, associate yourself with people like the Reno Warrior or Lamonte Reed, or people in your area that look at you more than just your disease,
Right.
and that's encouraging you to do a lot more than just sit around and let this disease take control. I agree with you, Tamika.
You know, it's all who you surround yourself with. And then when you isolate yourself, that's the worst thing you could do, because all you have is your thoughts. And sometimes those thoughts are not good. So it brings you even into more depression.
Absolutely.
And when they're going through what they're going through with kidney disease, a lot of patients isolate themselves.
Yeah, you can't do that. You got to let it show, because other warriors are dealing with this just like you.
Right.
And you're not alone. You're definitely not alone.
Right. But when they have the support group, Steve, I think that the support group should uplift them, not let them dwell on what they're going through. Like, how can you get past this stage versus staying in it? You know, how can I get past this? Well, my numbers are messed up. How can I make my numbers right? What is it that I can eat that's going to make me feel better? What is it that I can do that's going to make me feel better? Versus, oh, I had a bad treatment today, I feel lousy, or I can't stand that technician.
Let's talk about what you can do to make the treatment better in the future.
Right.
The things that you can think about, the diets that you can eat. I mean, it's just crazy how all of us has been so programmed as kids to adapt to our surroundings and what we bring in, and so we're so ingrained on certain things that people don't want to change. And I mean, you can almost see it where you have families that have reunions, and all the reunions they may be serving food like barbecue this and chitlins this and this, all the foods that are really killing you. They're good in taste, but at the end of the day, they're causing the exact same diseases that we're trying to fight against, but we're steadily eating it. Even when you're taking the medicine, you're still indulging in the same food that puts you right back in the condition that you're in. And all the medical community is doing is treating the symptoms with the oral glycemics, thus keeping you in a state of sickness, because you still have diabetes. Whether it's type 2 or type 1, you still have it. It's being managed and it's killing your kidneys on the back end. And it's all a setup. And I don't know why people don't see that. And more clinics are being made. The Kidney Foundation and all this money they're taking in with the Kidney Walk are not doing anything but just put more money in that organization, because nothing's been decreased. More clinics are being built and more people are being diagnosed with kidney failure.
Right. And you know, another thing about change, Steve, change is fear of the unknown. Because when you change into something new that you know nothing of, so a lot of patients, they fear change.
Yeah, that's where you got to push past that fear, because on the other side of that is greatness.
Right.
In spite of. So, all right, that was a great show, Tamika. I mean, I'm hungry now. I done baked some flounder and oven roasted Brussels sprouts.
Oh, that sounds good.
Yeah, absolutely. And that wasn't expensive.
Right.
The flounder I got from Wegmans, but it was only $5. For 2 pieces were like $7. Wild caught. Brussels sprouts, they $2.99 a pound. You don't have to get a pound, you can get a half.
Right.
But I'm not an emotional eater. And then that's where it comes from. How do one think about food? The way I think about food is I look at it as it's nutrition for my cells.
Right.
I don't look at, I got to eat because it's 5, I got to eat breakfast, lunch. I eat, and some people may call me crazy, but I eat at least 1 meal a day. And I get all my nutrients from that 1 meal. And I don't think about any meals. I drink water constantly and I exercise. I don't need to have steak and cheese or French fries or candy bars or chips to satisfy, something that I'm not even craving. And some people pick this stuff up just by habit.
Right. And it's not just, it is habit, but it's what's taught to them. Your mom be like, all right, well, here's $1. Go down the street and get some chips. Instead of, here's $2, you go to the store and get some fruit and vegetable and come back and I'll show you how to make ants on a log or something like that. Because
I know.
I'm guilty of, okay, I gave you $1, go hit the other street and get something from the store. Until I changed my mindset on eating, like, no, I wouldn't send you to the store to get chips and a soda. How about y'all put some strawberries inside your water? Try that.
Yeah, no sodas. Oh my God. And the energy drinks. People are getting them in the morning. These energy drinks have caffeine in it, just like a cup of coffee, 12-ounce coffee. And, you look at the ingredients and we wonder where all the health and sickness come from. But when you got all these ingredients that you never heard of, scientific type of stuff, and it's in your body, something's got to happen because it's not natural. And Tamika, I had a revelation that I wonder if the industry is in cahoot, like the food that's making us sick is the pharmaceutical company producing medicine to respond to the foods that's making us sick. So,
I think it has to do with the pesticides and stuff that they have on the vegetables and stuff. And then I also have to think about what they're giving the animals. Like,
exactly,
the animals we're eating.
Exactly. They don't metabolize the medicine, especially 80% of the antibiotics go toward the pharma industry to help, keep them animals, from getting viruses and bacteria. Right. They get that stuff too. They cooped up in the pen or wherever they at before they getting slaughtered. Yep. And I just saw something the other day about listeria on the meat or something, or on some broccoli. It's really getting really ridiculous to what I call now, you have to be health smart.
Yes.
You have to be health smart and health conscious, because if you're not, you'll get caught up in the system and you'll be taking medicine, high blood pressure, and you get caught up in that system to where you don't, if you don't open up your mind to change your thinking, you're going to fall in the pattern, just like maybe one's parents did, where they go to the doctors all the time and take the medicine and not exercising and just sitting down watching TV and eating unhealthy and just taking the medicine. It's almost like you're feeding the disease until it gets to a head to where, a heart attack or a stroke or kidney disease, diabetes. How many people do you know, Tamika, that developed type 2 and had to get amputation when that didn't need to happen, when they didn't have diabetes in the first place?
Right. That's lack of education and not being their own advocate.
I know.
And then
I know.
the doctor's accountable for not talking to them, spending more than that 5 minutes sitting down and then, okay, I'll be right back. I'll have the nurse come in and so and so. No, the doctors need to spend more than 5 minutes. Stop overbooking yourself.
But you know what, Tamika? I saw something on Facebook. It was a cartoon, first day of med school, and the teacher said, when a patient cured is a customer lost.
Yep. So why would they cure us? Why would they tell you to take turmeric versus Motrin? Get some turmeric every day in your system, and it cuts down.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I need to get that because I was dealing with some inner stuff, and I know you told me to get it. I want to get it.
Or stop eating foods that cause inflammation, because there's foods that cause inflammation. So stop eating some of the foods that cause inflammation. That will cut down on some of your joint pain. But they're not going to tell you. They're going to give you some Motrin. They may even give you a cortisone shot. You know, but they won't.
Yeah, and charge you for it. But you know, one good tip I got from a nurse out of Atlanta. Her name is Cassie. I can't pronounce her last name. I don't want to get mad at me. But she operates the Fly RN, and she does cold press juices. But she gave me a tip that I've been doing since I got back from Atlanta, and I've been feeling wonderful. She told me to take a cup or a glass of warm water and squeeze fresh lemon in it and drink it. And I can't tell you, I've done that, and it just does something to my insides where it cleans me out, the mucus, and like you were saying, the inflammation, and a lot of these autoimmune diseases, man, they're coming from somewhere. They're coming from the food, and they got to be the pesticides, something to make it, because can't everybody have a gene for lupus or whatever these other autoimmune disease that's just kind of popping out of the woodwork that wasn't around, 40 years ago.
Right.
I never heard of lupus when I was 15 or 16, 17 years old.
A lot of times they say, I was at a conference maybe 15 years ago, and it was about diabetes. And for people that's not born with it, it's like an allergic reaction to something, and you just pop up and have it, and it comes out of nowhere. So your body had allergic reaction to something, and this is the disease you have from it. So I thought it was quite interesting.
Yeah, but I just, I know it's getting late. We're about to, hey, Zoe, it's just that all these foods and the fast foods, I mean, they're so convenient for you. It's so convenient for you to eat yourself to unhealthy behaviors, to the point where the ailments of diabetes, hypertension, other diseases that's centered around heart disease, that's all centered around kidney failure.
Right.
And people are getting diagnosed every day. Dialysis is not going anywhere. Now we have to shift it and not only talk about prevention and awareness, but now it comes to management of your mind, body, and soul in dealing with this. Because if you don't deal it in the right way, it can make you even more sicker than what you already are.
Because the mind is powerful, Steve. And if you believe that you're ill, you're going to be ill, and you're going to stay ill. And I'm not saying to take away from if you really are ill, but you have to change your mindset on thinking, because a negative mindset is illness. So you got a very strong illness. That's your mind on top of an illness that you're already dealing with. You're not going to get any better.
Yeah. And you know what? I was just thinking right quick about what Stephanie was saying about not being accepted from the medical community. You know why? Because she has so much value. She has so much value that they probably don't want her to make anybody well, because they know that her information can change, can make an impact on a lot of people's health and how they look at themselves and how they look at the disease.
Yep. They can lose some clients. Some clients may try a holistic approach to the disease.
Exactly. Because there's more than one way to skin a cat.
Right.
In dealing with this disease, kidney disease is not, always the Western medicine way, depending on at what point of this stage of the disease you get to. Now, if you're at stage 5 and your kidney function is lost and damage to those nephrons, it's no way that's going to rejuvenate back to a stage 1 or a stage 4. Right. But if you know before it gets to that point, then you have a greater chance of not progressing and living a healthy, functional, quality life for the rest of your life if you change your health and mindset. Right.
It's like a car battery, Steve. So you know that the car battery is dying. So you'll get a jump. And when the car battery is all the way dead, you can't even jump it. Like you can't fix you can't pour the new cells in there. Some people try to like pour some more stuff inside the battery part. It's still not work. You have to replace the battery.
Yes.
With your failing kidney. If you know about it in advance, you can get some things to jump start it. Yeah. You know, you can eat different and stuff like that. But when it's dead or when you turn a car and it keeps cutting off on you, then that means it's time to get a new battery. It's time to get a new kidney.
Absolutely. And we definitely took it over more than what we had planned, but this is how dedicated we are in trying to get our point across in healthy behaviors and changing your mindset so you don't have to deal with these chronic diseases. And even if you're in that state of chronic disease, you can change that attitude around. And even though that you're dealing with the disease, you can look to see how you're going to make that disease go away. Because you don't have to always have high blood pressure. Just because you had it or your parents had it doesn't mean you have to have it. Same with diabetes. Doesn't mean you have to have it because your parents had it, unless you have type 1, which is genetic. Or with kidney failure if it's polycystic. But you can change your mindset. And that's what we hope to get across to our audience, and hope that you continue to watch our shows every week, because we have something for every aspect of this disease. Right, Tamika?
And as we are growing, we're adding more things on that can kind of touch a little bit of everything and everyone. So if you have any suggestions that you would like to see, please inbox Steve or I, so we could try to find a way to get that show on here.
Yes, and also if you'd like to become a guest or know someone who would like to be a guest on one of our shows, please reach out to us. Let us know. We'd be happy to share your story, or if you know any news that needs to be told that affects all the kidney warriors. Also, let us know. You come on and we share your story.
Yes. Yep. Sure will.
All right, Tamika. Well, another week is in the books. Yeah. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing kidney disease education moment. I don't have a guest, but I'm going to be doing some education, something that kind of got away from because of guests. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to be talking about medication and other.
Talk about how to take it, Steve. Like they take all the medicine together. So you're taking it together. A lot of times it's not working.
Right.
Working against each other. But the doctors give you all this medication. Okay, this is what you're supposed to take. And then you take it as a cocktail and nothing is working.
Yeah, some of them may be interacting with others as well. Mm-hmm. So tune in tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the Urban Health Outreach Media Station, and check us out.
Yeah, Thank you all for joining us. Have an amazing evening, and we'll see you guys next week. You'll see Steve tomorrow.
All right, Tamika, take care. See you, Zoe. Good night, everyone.